My name is Blake Fowler. I'm a resident here at Renewed Hope Ministries. I've been here for about a year now, and I'm going to share my testimony with you. My mom raised me by herself. She did a really good job, always making sure I was in church and involved in church. At a young age, probably like 7th grade, I'd say, I said the sinner's prayer and thought that I had what was salvation, and there was no change in my life. I continued to live like hell and not really care about it. When I got into high school, I started to use and abuse drugs and alcohol. And then when I got out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps and was in the Marine Corps for about a year, where because I couldn't use drugs, I would drink very heavily until I failed a drug test for cocaine, and I got kicked out of the Marine Corps. From that point, my addiction took a steep turn for the worse. Started smoking crack and shooting heroin, and I guess 2011, I went to a program to try to get my life together. I was only there for 45 days. Left. Went to stay with my grandparents. It wasn't long after that before I was using again. Then in 2013, I went to another program and was there for about 5 months. Left, and within a few hours of leaving the program, I was getting high again. And it was at that point that my relationship with my mother and my sister kind of just became non-existent. She would check in on me here and there just to make sure I was alive, but we didn't have any kind of relationship at all. Then around 2015, I was on probation for some misdemeanor drug charges, which is a simple possession charge, and I could never pass any drug tests. I could never do anything when it came to sobriety. And in October of 2015, I left the state of Tennessee after breaking into my boss's office and stealing a check from him. And I used that money and some money that I'd saved to buy some pills and buy some tires for my car, and I went up to Maryland. I was in Baltimore for a few years. I thought I was doing all right for a little while. I would just use off and on, but after, I guess, maybe 6 months or so, I started using heroin and crack pretty heavily. In 2018, September 2018, I overdosed. And then in Christmas of 2018, I called my mom for the first time in 3 years at that point. She didn't know if I was alive or dead. She hadn't heard from me. When I went to Maryland, I deleted all social media, got rid of my phone. And my mom even went to the point of filing a missing persons report. And it was at that point she started to ask if I wanted help, if I wanted to change my life. And I would lie to her and tell her I was fine, tell her I wasn't using. Then in 2019, my girlfriend at the time and I broke up, and my grandparents came and picked me up. They left from Jemison, Alabama, and came all the way up to Baltimore, Maryland to pick me up. And I went and lived with them for a little while, where I struggled. Eventually came to the point where I would steal my great-grandmother's credit card or debit card, and then their credit cards, and would use them to go buy dope. And when they found out, they decided that they were done. From that point, I went to Tennessee to turn myself in I started talking to my mom about wanting help, and my mom and my dad found this program for me. They found Renewed Hope Ministries, and I turned myself in Tennessee for the burglary and forgery charges and the leaving town probation charges, and agreed to come to the ministry and try to get my life together, which was probably the second time that I'd seen my mom since that time I contacted her in 2018. Um, Once on the way, my dad brought me over here, and on the way up the hill, I remember thinking to myself that either this is going to work and God's going to change something in my life, or it's not going to work and I'm going to get high and I'm going to kill myself. I had nothing to live for. I had no relationship with my family, um, and I was a lost man, right? I had thought that I received salvation. I thought that I had done what I was supposed to do, but continued to live like I wasn't, and I was just out of gas. I was out of energy. I was tired of running, and I decided that if God didn't make a change in my life, then I was going to just leave and get high and kill myself. Um, since coming to the program, God has opened my eyes to His great love for me. Right, He, despite all of the people that I hurt, all the loved ones that I took advantage of, that I stole from, all the people that cared about me and fought for me, I used them and stole from them and did whatever it took to please my flesh, um, with no regard to how it affected them, until there was nobody left, um, but God, right? Um, Despite my ignorance and despite my foolishness, God chose to save me. God chose to make a change in my life. And since that time, again, he's opened my eyes, to my desperate need for a Savior. Um, I'll be graduating the program soon, and once that happens, I would really like to get involved in some sort of ministry where I can share the word with people and step back so that God can work through me and let other people that struggle with addiction or whatever their issues are, see that doing it on their own is going to get them nowhere. Um, we're all in desperate need of a Savior, whether it's drug addiction or the love of money. We all need a Savior, and I'm so grateful for the garbage that I put myself through, because God used my evil for His good. God used all the poor decisions that I made to show me that I needed Him more than I needed anything else.